as a people with one heart for one cause. We're determined to rebuild and restore.
I have decided, concluded, to always listen to Agidigbo 88.7 FM, the people's voice.
This is Kunle Amzat Studio, Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Welcome to the Dailies.
A beautiful Wednesday morning today. I welcome you to the Kunle Amzat studio, and I am saying good morning to you. How was yesterday? Yes, I wasn't around yesterday. Apologies for that. We're back today, and so we are back. All right, this is the dailies, and you know how we do it. We'll take you through the front pages of our daily newspapers, the stories making the round. How do they concern us? Or how do they affect us? And that is why we have a maestro in the studio with us to do the analysis and explanation of how these stories, how they actually concern us as citizens in this nation, Nigeria. My name is Wuraola Yusuff, and yes, I have a couple of newspapers with me. This morning we'll be picking our stories from. The first one is the Daily Trust newspaper, where I have the story on the front page saying, CBN's interest rate hike hindering growth, job creation. CBN's interest rate hike hindering growth, job creation. And that is coming from Aliko Dangote on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Two writers to that story. The first one says, a microeconomic environment stifling manufacturing sector. And that is coming from Manufacturing Association of Nigeria. Federal government harps on local content made in Nigeria goods. That is another writer to that story on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper today. Moving on to the Punch newspaper. On page 2, 33 states battle 2,102 cases of cholera as NYSC enforces strict camp rules. A writer to the story says Lagos, Bayelsa, 8 others have a 90% of cases as infections spread to 122 local government areas. Moving on page 25, President Tinubu seeks a National Assembly's nod as tax regime begins January. Still on page 25, this story is from federal government saying, Nigerians bought 16 trillion naira generators fuel in 2023. On page 32, CBN threatens to sanction banks rejecting old dollar notes. And yes, moving on, still on the issue of Borno bombing, military plans crackdown as reps begin probe. That story is on page 18 of the Punch newspaper. Federal government direct MDAs to patronize made in Nigeria goods. That story is right there on page 29 of the Punch newspaper today. The Southeast governors to meet Tinubu for Nnamdi Kanu's release. That story is on page 16 of the Punch newspaper. 5 to die by hanging for herders killing in Osun. That story is on page 5 of the Punch newspaper. Dangote decries high interest rates, seeks government intervention. Page 29 of the Punch newspaper. Right now, moving on to the Nation newspaper. Government targets passage of new tax laws in the third quarter. Right after that story says states to get 90% VAT share That story is on page 2 of the Nation newspaper. Coming from Aliko Dangote on page 4 of the Nation newspaper, it is impossible to create jobs with high interest on loans. That is coming from Dangote. On page 2, varsities face another round of disruption. How? We are going to know this morning. Declared July 13 Wole Soyinka Day. Alake urges a federal government. That story is on page 29 of the Nation newspaper today. To the Guardian newspaper this morning, we have the story of cholera saying cholera toll hits 63 deaths, 2,102 cases in 33 states. That story is on page 3. Sultan lacks power to appoint anyone, Sokoto government declares. That story is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. National Assembly spineless. A rubber stamp says ex-PGFDG Lukman. That story is on page 6. The stories alongside many more awards we have on the front pages of our daily newspapers today, and of course we shall be discussing them, including the ones that are very close to home. I'm talking about the protest that happened in Ibadan yesterday concerning some workers about what the federal government asked the company to pay them, which is causing an issue. Yes, of course, I have a Maestro in the studio this morning. Good morning, Maestro.
Good morning.
Good morning, you're welcome.
You're welcome too.
All right. if you will say you missed me, I missed you.
Because I did. I said so yesterday. Well, it's just a mix-up.
All right then.
Glad to know you're fine.
Yeah, I'm good. All right, let us move on to the story. Let us pick it up from the story of the cholera outbreak. Yes, it's been there for a while now. And yes, the angle it is written from this morning is concerning the NYSC camps. Yes, we have, I think yesterday we had a swearing-in ceremony for new batch B Stream A, yes, for 2024. And yes, we have 33 states now where there are cholera, where they have cholera cases. And now we have NYSC, different people from different states mingling together, coming together. And if we start talking about the reality in camps, in NYSC camps, we know what we're talking about. The Mami Market and, I don't know, the water and every other thing. What do you think should be done or should have been done concerning this at this point in time?
Yeah, true. People are coming from all over the place, from different places to camp. But the good thing is that they are not scattered. They are going to be at the same place. And so that makes it, easier for camp managers to ensure strict rules. I don't have a lot of concern for that. You see, it's not something that is, contagious, like that. It's born by these by flies and so on and so forth. So what the thing to do is to prepare the camps to ensure that cleanliness is the watchword, and then have strict rules to run the camps. I'm not worried about the camps at all. I'm more worried about even places like big markets, schools where kids mingle and so on.
Outside camps.
Yes, I'm more worried about it. You know that graduates are grown-ups, and so you're aware of what to do and what not to do.
I'm actually talking about the marketplaces inside the camp.
Yes, it's part of the camp. So
we know how this place is. How they can be.
Now they have to come under strict control. That's why I talked about camp managers. They have to take this very seriously. And I'm still really skeptical about this undying streak, this enduring streak of reports from
the numbers.
Yes, the numbers are playing up and so on and so forth. And of course, I have a strong suspicion where all this is heading to, and the figures, that we are going to be hearing
daily.
We'll follow these numbers, and people will be dedicating money, centrally and across the states to combat.
But we do need it, don't we?
Yeah, this is how we roll. Now I can tell you, it's so ridiculous, even during COVID-19, that God Almighty, in His infinite mercies, did not allow COVID-19 to hit us as it hit the Europeans and the Americans and elsewhere in the world. Yet you are hearing the billions they were spending all over the place. You're also hearing it here, and I think we are too dedicated to corruption at the leadership level in this country. I'm not saying that cholera is not happening, but I know that people are playing around with these figures right now, and they are ensuring it stays in the news. So from 20, you hear 25 the following day, you hear 35 the following day, and so on. And I can assure you that many more people are dying as we speak, as we play with these cholera figures, dying through malaria. Many more. Is still there. And the figures are not in the news.
Not reported.
So you see how really terrible we could be in this country.
And that is to say, there are other things, there are other issues, other health issues.
Killing people in multiples, times 4, times 5 of whatever figures they are playing with cholera.
Can we actually get rid of malaria in Nigeria as a country? Is that possible?
Well, you see, I think it is possible, but it takes moving your entire country from a third world to the first world. That is what it would take, because in the first world, you are not going to be seeing malaria all over the place. Why? The drainages are proper. You have everything in the society where you should have them. And cleanliness is, a watchword and everything. Now, some other people might argue that, well, being a tropical country, that those who are in those cold zones, mosquitoes might not thrive there, and so on and so forth. But it is not thriving in those places, not just because those zones are cold. It's because they are the first world, for whatever that phrase is worth. Because it's an annoying phrase. But then there is a lot of truth to it, that if you move your country from the third world to the first world, you're likely to be able to curtail, such things seriously.
All right, then. We hope we get there one day. Just one day, we hope we get there.
We are not even looking like we are heading in that direction. That's the worst part of it.
We can only hope.
Because we need to, yes, I don't give up hope. Yes, you're right. You can only, begin to head in that direction if you decided to. Right now, the things that we have decided to dedicate our energies to, that is the opposite direction.
All right, then, let us move on from that, and hoping that the cholera cases, there's going to be some sort of solutions. I mean, in your state, yesterday, quite a couple of news came out concerning different committees being set up, and health committees on how to handle it. Although the news says we still do not have any case in your state.
Sometimes when you give people some kind of applause, wrong-headed people believe that it's because you are getting something from there. I have always given Governor Seyi Makinde administration some applause when it comes to issues like this. Hands on deck kind of approach. And most of the time, you don't hear the kind of lies you hear all over the place. I think Oyo State is the second state that is saying we do not have here yet. So I think one should say that is good when it is good.
Even during COVID-19, the panic was not there.
It wasn't. It wasn't. It was handled deliberately, and he led the charge. If you remember, he even took ill. He tested positive.
Yes.
After about 3 days, he was fine, and then he handled everything. Most of the time, it was, some of the things that Oyo State did first, the federal government
later did. All right, then.
Quite a few times. So I'm not so concerned that Oyo State will handle it right. And if it does not happen, your state will not say it happened.
All right. All right, then. Kudos to Mr. Governor for that, then.
And his team.
And his team, of course. Let us move on to this story coming from the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, declaring a state of emergency regarding crude oil production in Nigeria. The company has declared war against all factors militating against crude oil production in Nigeria. Is this the way to go?
That state of emergency thing, I'm always skeptical. Because I try to define it. I try to make a sense of declaring state of emergency and what it's likely, to achieve at the end of the day. So this state of emergency, what does it entail? Is it just this announcement, or certain things are going to change drastically in such a way that it will now yield results? I don't know. Or is it just an alarm that you are ringing? So one will have to wait to see the effect, of this declaration of state of emergency. It's a novelty on me. I don't know if I've ever heard anything like declaring state of emergency in the oil sector before. But what we know is that there are some very strong steps that, the government should take in order to sanitize that place.
Okay, and please help me hold on to the thought of those steps. While we're back from this break, we are going to be starting from there because NNPCL, according to them, they said that the main purpose of this is to increase Nigeria's crude oil production and growing its reserves. We'll be back after this break to continue the conversation. Please stay with us. We'll be back.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
Ó yá gbà ọmọ mi ọ̀wọ́n.
Mami, ẹ fi mílìkì sí ni.
Kò di dandan, ìwọ tó wò ná.
Báwo lẹ ṣe ṣe?
Ǹjẹ́ mílìkì inú ẹ̀ péye?
Ní gidi gan.
Ṣé ọ̀rá wàrà náà ẹ̀ ṣàn tó?
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Milo 3-in-1 milky and creamy nìyẹn o. Mílìkì inú ẹ̀ péye, mi ò nílò láti ṣàfikún mílìkì sí.
Mo nífẹ̀ẹ́ rẹ̀ màámi.
Fún àwọn ọmọ rẹ ní Milo 3-in-1 milky àti creamy tuntun, mílìkì inú ẹ̀ péye, ó kún fún káṣíọ̀mù láti ran àwọn ọmọ rẹ lọ́wọ́ láti yege lójoojúmọ́. Milo, agbára láti tẹ̀síwájú.
Milo! My baby is 6 months old.
Oh my! 6 months old? Wow! Now your baby needs more than breast milk. It's time to introduce mashed meals. In addition to breast milk, begin to give your baby mashed meals that contain at least one item from each of these 5 food groups: eggs, fish or meat, fruits and vegetables, oils, beans, groundnuts, soya or millet, rice, potato, maize or yam from 6 months. In addition to breast milk, your baby needs this combination of food types to grow healthy. This message is from the ANRIN Project or your State Ministry of Health.
No matter waiting, I show you, you show me love.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You show me, you show me, you show me love.
Show some more love today with 4 more packs of your favorite Indomie noodles in Indomitable and Super Pack cartons. Also, each Indomitable pack is now 200 naira, while Super Pack is now 350 naira. So hurry now. Offer valid till stock lasts.
Your baby is here! Congratulations!
Do not waste time. Put your baby to breast within the first 1 hour of delivery to give that first yellowish milk colostrum. Colostrum has all the important nutrients your baby needs to start a healthy life. Colostrum also helps to protect your baby against diseases. Remember, put your baby to breast within the first 1 hour of delivery.
This message is from the ANRIN Project or your State Ministry of Health.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
All right, we are back, and this is still the dailies right here in the Kole Amzat studio. Before we went on that break, Maestro was trying to make a point on, I think, a list of the steps that the government needs to take.
Now, I'm just saying that if you are pushing state of emergency, then certain things must be done to show us that it's not just an announcement or a proclamation, that it goes beyond that. Because, essentially, in my little experience about this country, when you declare state of emergency, in places, then you collapse the structures under an administrator. And so some things that should ordinarily run through bureaucracy might now be done with fiat. So would that bring a positive result or not? I don't know. But I think this is coming right from the president's desk. I'm not sure. But I'm thinking it's coming from the president's desk. Don't forget that the president is the Minister of Petroleum too.
It was Mele Kyari that made the declaration yesterday.
Well, he couldn't just sleep wake and make that kind of declaration by himself. It has to come from the president's desk, approved. So there's a plan. And now let's link this with the complaints that Alhaji Aliko Dangote was making about his efforts to start dishing out, petrol and allied, and the problems he's having. And my own position when that news broke was that this administration must be the spine of the Dangote refinery and allow it to have that positive effect that we're all looking forward to. Now, it also means that the president might be looking in on this indirectly now. One. Two, if this is designed to increase the output of the output of crude, it's also a good thing because we don't sell everything where we get, and so everything has been loaned out. So there's really nothing. But if you could increase the output one way or the other, I think that margin would also yield something. Perhaps this is going to help at the end of the day. It's not something I could beat my chest over. And the reason is you could hear a lot of high-sounding words and everything and resolve being stated. And at the end of the day, in this country, it comes to nothing. But I'm not very hopeless. I prefer to be hopeful,
but not too hopeful.
Well, I'm circumspect. Let's put it like that.
All right then.
I'm always circumspect about when the federal government or state governments are talking and making moves. There's always a part in me that protects myself from being disappointed in the long run. So I reserve that little space while I keep hope alive.
All right then. This news is coming from the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adilabu, in Abuja yesterday, where he said Nigerians spend 16.5 trillion naira, and that is 60% of a 2024 electricity budget on generators. Whose fault? Who are we blaming? Nigerians or who I do not understand?
I don't know if it's a function of blame right now because we can easily, that's the easiest part. I can say it's the fault of politicians.
Yeah.
I can say it's the fault of federal government.
If it's about pointing fingers.
I can say it's the fault of these people who import generators. It's the fault of this and that. That's the easiest part.
Can you even say it's the fault of one particular past president?
You can't say it. You can even say it's, all of them all together. But that wouldn't even be absolutely correct. It's feeble, very feeble. Fault finding is very feeble. Is the lazy minds exercise, which is fine. Or maybe not lazy, but you're highly limited, and that's all you could do, which is okay too. But the thing here is, why are we in that situation is more important than who's at fault. Because if you are able to discover why you are in that situation, it will entail who's responsible, but it will tell you precisely where you are and what you could do about it. And so this thing is a big book. Why we have to import. Look, okay, let me give you another insight. You're talking about 16 trillion, right? Right?
Yes.
Okay.
16.5 trillion.
That's a lot of money, Abi. Okay. How much do you ladies spend on attachment? How much attachment do you buy? So this is something that you could do without, really.
Yeah.
But maybe we can't do without, generators,
Mm.
because, we need to run companies, we need to do this and that. But I assure you, we spend billions on attachment yearly.
Mm.
Okay, I assure you, we spend billions on used goods and accident cars from overseas yearly. So by the time you sit down to say, okay, you are apportioning blame to these people, they are responsible for that. Okay, yes, it's true. But who are you going to blame for your wife's attachment? Are you going to blame the politician too for your wife's attachment?
For the bone
So we have to be deeper than throwing blames around.
All right.
While we accommodate those who throw blames around, no problem. We should accommodate them. They are part of the conversation, and that's all they could do.
Someone must get blamed.
But we need to go deeper to where our problems are coming from. You see, this thing called neo-colonization is not a joke. If you don't understand it, you cannot ignore it. And so the best thing you could do is to understand its economic colonization. It's a program. It's a global program. I was listening to, just reading up on what I think the man's name is Shegun, is it Oshunkeye or something? And he headed an arm of Nestle and moved on to do some other things. And he was talking about, okay.
A second, yeah.
It's 7 a.m. on Agidigbo 88.7 FM.
All right, we're back.
He was talking about reverse integration. I was compelled to read the whole thing. It was so beautiful. So how that company survived where everybody else was, running away. And so you need to understand, take that in your stride, take Dangote's complaints in your stride. It tells you that something is going down that is bigger than your environment. So, and when you look at what is happening to Ruto, this Ruto guy, when he was coming, Nigerians were jumping. Here, they were saying, yes, this is the kind of president they needed, and so on and so forth. Now the people in Kenya, they've risen up against Ruto. They don't even want to hear anything.
Even after what he said, they do not want to listen.
They've smelled blood. That's the nature of hounds. They want him out of that office. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but you're looking at global programs playing out right before us. I was also listening to a 2-year-old interview of Alhaji Abubakar Alhaji. If you're looking for one of the strongest politicians, greatest influences from the northern part of the core north, that's the man. And he was talking about the relationship he had with Queen Elizabeth II. And the interviewer was saying, what's the nature of your relationship? He said, no comment. And it was 4 of them as kids. 4 of them who were at Buckingham Palace. Growing up at Buckingham Palace. So a lot of things happen that we're totally oblivious of, especially as young people. But yet we just want to break our heads with the, So we need to understand first what's happening to us. Why is it that we could not give ourselves electricity in this country?
He was actually trying to use this to justify the Band A tariff. He said even the people that are on the Band A, the Band A customers now, they are still paying cheaper compared to the cost of running
There's
generators.
no justification for all those things. He's, he's saying all those things because he couldn't possibly be saying some other things. And maybe that's how, best he could communicate. But there's no justification. You see, the big deal is not to look for these shortcuts. The thing to do is to restructure our system. And they went as far as saying, okay, we are freeing up the space. State governments could now generate electricity, groups, organizations, and so on. That's the bill that former president signed into law. And that's what, I believe this administration should be enabling in a very powerful way, rather than reversing to where the federal government pretends to have the capacity to supply electricity all over the country.
Pretend?
It's pretentious because it's failed over the years. And they have not shown us anything that says we have the capacity, we are capable of turning this situation around. They are doing the same thing that others have done before them, which is to just increase it. And then you are increasing the money at a very terrible point. In our, the situation is bad. People can't even afford to eat. And you are justifying increasing certain things because you believe that, okay, if you take it up the crust, it's only people who have that kind of money that will be paying, down, you lacquer it down like that. It's not working because those people that you're talking about, people who had 5 million naira in their bank yesterday and they thought they had money, that 5 million naira has reduced, in value to just about 2 million naira today. So people have been turned to, paupers in heaps. So that system is not working and they know it because it's also hitting them. It's not.
Are you sure?
It doesn't leave anybody out. Look, if you had 1 billion naira yesterday and the value was 1 billion naira, the value was, say, I'm just saying, the value was about 50,000. Let's say $50,000. You know that today it's just about $30,000. So it's hitting everybody. There's nobody that could say, "Oh, it doesn't concern me," just because you have a pile of a word that you could throw around and buy basics with, but you feel it where it hits you that this thing is reducing in value.
All right then, let's move on from that story. For a couple of days now, or let me even say weeks, we've been seeing Dangote coming out and stories. I mean, we've been seeing Dangote maybe crying out on something or just saying things or issues even concerning his refinery and production and all that. And now the business mogul Aliko Dangote said something yesterday. He said that one of the major impediments to job creation and speedy economic growth in Nigeria is the high interest rate, which is discouraging investment and is also hampering economic growth in Nigeria.
Well, you hear that everywhere. It's not a new position. But the problem is where you're hearing it from. This is one person that's lived on super waivers. Almost all his entire business life. He's been given a pride of place. He's been existing. He's been thriving on waivers. And a lot of other people have complained bitterly that if only they could get a fraction of the kind of waivers that this man has been getting all through his business life, that they would have surpassed him in success. So that worries me that someone who's taking that much is complaining about.
It shouldn't be coming from him.
Well, I have a problem with that. But that is not to say what he's saying is wrong. If you jack up interest rates, I believe strongly that it's going to affect everything down the line. It will have a domino effect on everything. And those who are able to secure the loans for their businesses must make gains. Their profit, they must have their returns. And what do you think they will do? Of course, they will increase the prices of whatever they are producing. So it's a valid statement. And that's going to make it difficult for people who are employers to expand the pool of their employees. They wouldn't expand. As a matter of fact, they will be looking forward to shrinking in order to make gains possible. Because you cannot also increase the prices of your goods infinitely. People will stop buying, or at least you have a drop in sales.
It will reduce.
So, these are some of the things that you consider to believe what he's saying is valid.
All right.
So it's about the message and the messenger.
He actually said this at a summit organized by the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, and he linked that to the fact that we need to protect existing businesses in the country, especially manufacturers. And also, that will lead us to talking about the manufacturing sector of Nigeria, because we also had the Vice President Kashim Shettima saying that we should prioritize local content and promotion of made in Nigeria product.
That's not going to come from advocacy. It's going to come from, solid policy steps. And if you are allowing the Chinese to come into this country, for instance, to be producing adire, if you allow the Chinese to come into the country to be bringing their own, the Chinese are doing ege and so on.
For us.
The Chinese are already producing gari. So, and it's heavy. They are also killing our adire industry. And if you are the vice president and you are not talking directly to that, and you're simply this ephemeral statement.
He said he regrets that there have been a major setback in the past decades concerning the manufacturing sector in Nigeria.
Well, it's not going to be your regrets that must count at this time. It must be what actions you are taking. You're now in office, and I'm happy that the president said, talking time is over. Because we said that on this program, that, look, you're done with campaigns. I even said it on Igbesiaye on Sunday, that, look, campaigns are over. So now, do it. Let's see it. And I'm fairly disappointed that we are not talking directly to these problems created by foreigners who have more wherewithal, to do their own productions and even make it cheaper than ours and better. So there's no way you will be protecting companies, manufacturers like that. You must have a strong policy. And you see, the problem with us is that we cannot have this strong policy. It's not because our leaders cannot think it up. It's because we are in a bigger program, a global program that forbids us from doing those things. And when they want to talk, you know what they will say? They will throw protectionism at us. They always have a phrase, something that they have created. But when it comes to their own situation, of course, they have 1,001 laws that would ensure that you cannot compete with their people on their soil. So at some level, you have the Chinese and the Americans doing this thing to one another. At some other level, you have the Europeans fairly even securing their own business turf. But in Africa, so what do you even call manufacturing, here, if it came to brass tacks? What are we calling manufacturing here? Many of the things that we are manufacturing are substandard.
To even start with.
They're substandard, we just take and go. You see, when we were kids, I don't want to mention names of beverages. When we were kids, we drank certain beverages that when we now grew up and we now tasted
the taste is
same
different.
Name. Absolutely different. And so when someone travels and comes from maybe somewhere in Europe with the same thing, and
they'll tell you the taste is different.
It's different again. It takes you back to your childhood. Yet we are, doing it. Sometimes, though, it falls into different categories. Sometimes, many times, it's because we have deliberately reduced, the standard, even in production, so that we could meet up with the times. The other thing is that you have some people who are sitting down in dark corners producing these things illegally, adulterated stuff, bringing it out to the market as the real stuff. So you also
not
have
the
that,
real producers.
and it's a thriving business in this country. People who are doing fakes. You expect a serious government to be addressing all these things, because there's no way in the world that people who are doing the genuine stuff will be able to compete with those ones. So if you go and look at the choice drinks that people like to display when they're holding their parties, these guys are producing everything. There's nothing that they are not producing. Yet, occasionally we will say, oh, we busted some in Okeari. Oh, we busted one in Aba. That's all.
It's actually sad that quite a lot of things. I mean, I can't even remember one thing that they wouldn't say, okay, this is the fake and this is the original.
Even egg produced by hens are not tasting the same again.
Wow.
As they taste. I'm telling
now,
you.
When you say you want to buy Titus fish, you ask, do you have the original?
You different ones. It's not asking first. It's just preening your eyes and looking at what you want to buy. Otherwise, they can say Milo. They can say this and that. They have different types. So go and look at it very well if it's Titus that you're buying. And after buying it, they have Kampala. They have a lot of stuff going on. So if you're not careful when you taste it, is when you know that you've thrown your money away. They sold you something
as
else.
much as water, bottled water. I saw a post on X saying, okay, this is how to differentiate the original bottled water, a particular brand, from fake bottled water. And we consume, that's the same manufacturing, isn't it?
Do you know that there are original fakes and fake originals?
Original fakes?
Yes.
Wow.
So I sent this guy to, help me buy a device. And he said, though, the original is around 300,000 naira. I said, I don't want anything that costly. Let me just be. He said, there's one that's
another one
like original,
but not entirely original.
These things are going on. They are bringing stuff in. We are also doing it to ourselves here. It's a messed up system
and a thriving business.
And if you don't stop, you see, these politicians are incurable optimists, but it's also selfish to be an incurable optimist in this kind of situation. We have to do our own Marshall Plan. We must do something, that is heavy, and that's restructuring. Then you will be able to man the zones
and monitor.
Right now, some people are simply making money. They are simply taking money from their signing kiosks. On the other hand, some people are believing that, if you put another person, you will get it's all.
Okay, Maestro, we are not done with this conversation because I want to know, is it that our government, they are not trying or they are not even doing anything at all concerning the production of these things? I mean, they are not operating under the earth. I mean, they are still here. People doing this in the production, they are within, they are around.
I wish you knew.
Okay, let's go pay some bills. We're back to continue the conversation and the issue of production of a fake original fake product in Nigeria. We'll be back.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
Láti dènà àrùn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru àti àrùn mìíràn, pàápàá nínú àwọn ọmọdé, fọ ọwọ́ rẹ pẹ̀lú ọṣẹ àtomi tó ń dà ṣooro. Ní pàtàkì jùlọ, tó o bá lo ilé ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀ tán lẹ́yìn tó bá ti ṣàǹdí fọ́mọ tán kó o tó ṣoúnjẹ ọmọ rẹ tàbí kó o tó fún un lóúnjẹ. Àti pé tí ọmọ rẹ bá ní àìsàn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru, fún un ní oògùn oníwóró zinc lẹ́ẹ̀kan lójúmọ́ àti ORS ní wákàtí mẹ́rin tàbí kí ẹ máa fún un díẹ̀díẹ̀ nínú ife. Èyí á jẹ́ kọ́mọ rẹ lè ní ìdápadà omi ara àtokun. Bákan náà, yọjú sílé iṣẹ́ ètò ìlera tó bá súnmọ́ ọ jùlọ láti gba ìtọ́jú fọ́mọ tó ní àìsàn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru. Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkànṣeṣẹ́ ARIN, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
We can protect your car, your savings.
Let's not make it boring. Let's make insurance a lifestyle. If you've ever wished your insurance offered you more, then you're in good hands with Hares Insurance Group. In addition to our extensive insurance coverage, you can also enjoy free benefits such as networking opportunities, up to 10% discount on hotels, gyms, spas, and your favorite stores, tickets to exclusive events, and free resources to plan your future. So, next time someone asks you, what does your insurance company give you, sir? Your answer should be with Hares Insurance Group. Definitely much more than insurance.
To enjoy all these, sign up on www.hairsinsurancegroup.com. That is HEIRS. Hares Insurance Group. Simple life is here.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
All All right, you're welcome back, and this is still the dailies. Yes, the conversation went on through the break because at one point or the other, as Nigerians, we have all experienced fake product in one way or the other, knowingly or unknowingly. You just know.
And we've also seriously participated, in this scam. If you travel through villages, you stop. In those days, you stopped, you bought a lot of things. And they say this is where you could get the authentic stuff. But now, even in the villages, you get fake palm oil. Those by the roadside, they've already mixed it with a lot of things. They mix with ogi, pap. They mix with pepper. I don't think they will be trying pepper now.
They do. They actually.
It's very expensive now.
No, it's not that kind of pepper. It is not that kind of pepper. There is a coloring, colors.
Well, they mix. They do a lot of things.
Wow.
And it's not just pepper. If you want to buy honey, you have to be extremely careful in buying honey.
Looking for original.
And so we're talking about these things, these everyday things. Now look at the people who are dedicated, who are sold on adulterating stuff, and that's their means of livelihood.
That is what they do.
Poisoning people in thousands. So whoever drank one drop from what they manufactured, something has gone into your system that you didn't know, you didn't bargain for. And you see, apart from that, some of these guys would even go to China and they would tell people in China who are manufacturing for them, you know what, reduce the standard.
Wow.
Yes, reduce the standard. So you will see that what they're bringing is substandard, cleverly done. And then the price will remain the same. And they say they are great business people. They go to India and do the same thing to drugs. Sometime, I think a few years back, there was this huge outrage over some doctors came out to say, look, these things are no longer having the kind of effect. So today, a doctor will do you a prescription and insist
tell you to get
on
it
a particular
somewhere.
brand and where you should go and get it. So there's no way in that kind of society has gone totally dysfunctional. That it's not just going to be, a leadership thing where everybody is in on the take and a few people are pointing accusing fingers at others. So long as you can wear a mask, it's possible for you to say. But when you go and look at what people are doing, right now we're having a systematic onslaught on men of God, on the social media, and people are calling them out to say, men of God in every religion, what did you do to achieve the kind of, vehicles that you're riding? What did you do to get the kind of, private jets that you're
spreading the gospel?
So, and you see, people are everywhere you turn. So you need a kind of, Nigeria is not the first place where this kind of thing will happen in history. China was worse than this. As a matter of fact, China was soaked in drugs, opium. Everybody you saw on the streets are going like this. But some people came together and they knew precisely what they needed to do. It was harsh. I'm not prescribing the Chinese cure in its totality, but I'm saying we need to do something close to that. And for as long as we are depending on a crop of politicians to come around at the end of a particular 4 years or the next, we are deceiving ourselves because that's not going to take us there. What will take us there is to get behind the clarion for restructuring this country. If we restructure this country, we can handle it from the zones. I was telling you, I think, what day was that you cannot put a whole chicken in your mouth and eat it at once.
2 days ago.
But you could cut it to pieces to eat. Look, I'm fully convinced that the crop of leaders that we've been having in the past 40 years or thereabouts they don't have what it would take, to handle a central system like this. So we need to grow from the components of Nigeria.
All right. So what are the roles of standard organizations of Nigeria?
Are you kidding me?
I mean,
so
that's
people will say you the wine, you the wine federal.
I mean,
it's just look. These guys could not even take care of simple things like basics. Now we're talking about the problem that is far bigger than them. Standard organization of
far bigger than them.
Is it? These agencies are miniature Nigerians. They are dedicated to their own whatever benefits they. There was a time that somebody was running after cross-dressers and so on. Excuse me, heading that place and running after cross-dressers, and I was wondering, is that what these people are supposed to be doing? But he was at it for a long time, and nobody was calling him to order. So let's even go there, because these are small agencies that dedicated to just do whatever you could do, collect your pay and carry on.
But Maestro,
and there are tons. There are many of them.
It is bad. I mean, it is deadly for me to want to buy a bottled water and then I'm having double thoughts. Is this the original?
Good. So how many people do you have altogether? You're talking about this Nigeria. It's really expansive. Some people talk about Nigeria like it's their small father's farm. Nigeria is big. Have you been around Nigeria?
I mean, a couple of states.
Okay. So look, I have not been to everywhere in Nigeria. But I've been to at least 2/3. Maybe few states in all parts. Nigeria is big. So every time you are, putting a policy on ground, you have to be conscious of that expanse to start with. Then you think about the people. The numbers are huge. We all agree on over 200 million.
We all agreed. Not that is the exact number.
Just imagine having a family of father, mother, and 3 kids, and how tough that is. Now you're talking about a very cohesive unit, but you're talking about over 300 tribes and tongues. So when you come at Nigeria, Nigeria comes at you. And if you don't have the kind of stuff that Chief Obafemi Awolowo is always my standard, and he is also my standard for picking the kind of people who work with him, and also knowing precisely what he wanted to do at all times, because that's what he's always doing. How many of our leaders today do you think would stay up in the night thinking about Nigeria's problems, trying to solve it like that? So, and if you don't know it, you cannot do it. You don't have it. You can't give it.
Maestro, are you saying the people at the helms of affairs of this great nation, they can't handle, just because of how big Nigeria is, they cannot handle a particular problem, just one?
It's more than the largeness. That's why I told you about other complications. So you look at the largeness, the expanse, but also look at the people, the numbers. Now look at 300 tribes and tongues minimum. So that's not just about big, that's about serious complications, and we are always in one another's way because we are coming from different diverse cultures and traditions.
Some people will agree, some will not.
See, bring the best idea in the world. I need to just look at it and think about my culture would drive me to the point that I will agree or disagree. Not that it's good or bad. And that's why the great fella was saying, will be government teacher, culture and tradition. So you have to be taught. You have to be driven. And where you're not driven by your culture and tradition, then what is your driver then? So every time you come and bring this policies as, okay, let's do state police. Why do you think people are saying no? Why are people saying no? People understand that state police will solve our security problems in a jiffy.
They know.
But they're going to say no because people are coming from, you see, your culture and your tradition drove you in this political confluence called Nigeria to a point. And when you get to that point, you're having a pride of place. You hold on to it. So if another person comes from another culture and tradition and he says, you know what, this is why people are dying and so on, so let's change it to this one, you say no. But people will now be comparing us with, civilizations like the Americans. Say, the Russians have a lot of ethnic groups. The Chinese are. It's different. They evolved differently. We evolved differently. It does not reduce our humanity, but people like to assume that whatever happened, in the UK should be happening here. Look, in the United Kingdom, they have Magna Carta. That Magna Carta is over thousands of years that's been evolving. Evolving till today. The Magna Carta is still in effect, which is directing their society to where it should go. That is the drag of their own, of their culture and tradition. Do you know that they also killed witches in the UK before? You're laughing. It's true. That's where the phrase witch hunt came from. They killed, they'll say, this woman is a witch. Then they will nail them to the cross.
Before?
Yes.
But it's no longer there.
I'm telling you about their evolution.
But now in Nigeria.
Now when people will go to UK now and come back and be speaking through their noses. So what do you mean by witchcraft? I don't know. That's superstitious. The people who invented superstition, they also killed witches in their country before. Now I'm not an advocate of starting it from the rear. I'm saying, so we have the benefit of this civilization and we should use it. You cannot say you're starting your own biology from the scratch. You already have a book of biology already written, research done. So, but it's kind of confusing to people who are not looking at the entire program already. You have to understand that there's a global program dedicated against Africa, especially those points where you will find mineral resources that are in high demand by the Europeans and the Americans. So they set up conflict in all those places, and then they take whatever they want. Look at how long DRC, that's probably the richest spot in the world when it comes to mineral resources, and they have oil, they have gold, they have diamond, they have, what's this substance that they use in computers and everything? They have all those things in abundance. They have never rested since the white man set foot on that place. What is the fight about in Niger Republic? Uranium. If there was no uranium in Niger Republic, they will not be fighting there. And what's the problem here? They have absolutely conquered our own crude oil here. They have conquered our own crude oil. They play us against. What is happening to Ruto, I do not even believe is the Kenyans uprising against Ruto. You need to go and really find out.
There will be external forces.
It's never instantaneous.
What about what is happening to Dangote?
No, Dangote, it's a steady thing. It's always there. It's just that now he has grown big. And he's thinking, I should be given my honor. But nobody, they don't talk about honor, in business. It's cutthroat all the way. Dog eat dog. And so, if you are in the way, they will knock you off.
Do you think Dangote will survive this?
If the Nigerian government, if the politics of it tells me that he will survive it, and he will be good, because this president will come and ask for a second term. I don't see a lot of ways where he could show the people that he deserves it, even slightly, outside of this oil thing. Now, if he's somehow able to drive down, pump prices before he will return to the people, then maybe some people will be able to say, okay, let's see what happens. But the other part is that he's also saying, he said it clearly by himself that, look, if I come without giving you electricity, don't vote for me.
Yeah.
So he makes it two. And those two things are very tough. So perhaps that's why we are seeing state of emergency declaration in the oil sector. Maybe.
All right, then it's about time we allow people to join in the conversation this morning and let us know what their thoughts are concerning the things we've been discussing. Quite a lot of things. And we have the rules. And when you call in, you have a minute flat. So please go straight to the point as much as possible. Also, let us talk about the topics that we've discussed today. Anything outside of that that is not in any way related to what we've been discussing, I'm afraid we won't be able to entertain that. And also, attack the topic and not persons. And now we have to listen to this before I roll out the phone lines.
Thank you for your attention. It's been lovely to have you keeping it locked on Agidigbo 88.7 FM. Now is the time to join in the conversation, to have the word, hear your voice, because we are the people's voice. Meanwhile, while you contribute to this program, kindly note that in accordance with broadcasting ethics, you are requested to keep your contributions modest, truthful, concise, and not offensive, inflammatory, or with tendencies to cause discomfort to anyone. Thank you. Now, let the conversation begin.
All right, 070410018887 or plus 234-704-700-8873. Those are the phone lines to call to join in the conversation this morning. Raja Afiza Bidemi says, good morning, Wuraola, analyst in the studio. On the issue of fake products in Nigeria, honestly, this is a very rampant issue in Nigeria. Even some of our local products are now fake. Talking of honey peppers, and our people will go to China to tell them to reduce the standard of product. Likewise, drugs are not working effectively again. All right, we have this one from Steve from Raji on the issue of cholera outbreak, saying cholera outbreak is an attached consequence of hyper-supersonic inflatable rate and persistent poverty among helpless citizens, which makes prices of goods and services unaffordable. They can't even afford ordinary water, and there are many low-standard consumable in the society. God bless Nigeria. And yes, Femi Ranki says the issue of manufacturing in Nigeria is a serious case. The system is bastardized from top to bottom, from electronic to simple household tools. Even gum has fake, glue has fake, book has fake, a phone, and they allow even fakes to enter from outside the country. Rice has a fake. May God save us. We need to do something on the system of this country. We need to restructure. Lagos State restricted the use of a synthetic, I think that's a styrofoam, and you will still see truckloads moving the same thing from Lagos to other states.
Ura, when they did that, I told the people then that it wasn't going to work.
The styrofoam does the take away part. We can't do that.
They can't do nothing about it. And so what they've done is they've just left the issue to just go to sleep.
In Lagos yesterday, they still confiscated some. I mean, they
are confiscating and people are still using it. Because, you see, it's cheap. And today, life is cheap. You, in some ways, you have to go and do what you could. The money is not there to buy what they are
the
saying.
Substitute.
It's not there.
All right, let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
Yes, my name is Dr. Wuraola Yusuff. I'm calling from Olomi here. Good morning, Mr. Maestro.
Good morning.
Good morning, Wura.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, I want to agree with Maestro concerning restructuring. You know, there was a time, I think many years ago, I was in Delta State working with the deputy governor then. That was the time of James Ibori. The deputy governor then, I was sitting very close to him, that is Elemono. And the man was telling me, saying that, see how the country looks like. See how the situation looks like. Then I was wondering within me, that what does it mean? You are in the government, And I still saying, see how the country looks like. Are you, because that was the time when Obasanjo was the president, are you telling me that even you that you're in the government, you want to blame the president, that even you, what are you really doing? Then I want to agree with the MAESTRO that, look, when restructuring come to exist right now, then anyone going to be a president or a governor or a position will actually understand what they are really coming to do. Thank you very much. Good morning. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much, sir. Good morning. Tolulope Adeyemi says, honestly, the leadership style of Governor Makinde is exceptional and worthy of emulation because he's always known for being proactive to any issues that concern the masses, and this is again evident in the technical team he constituted yesterday in readiness to combat the cholera outbreak disease. This is the kind of people that should be at the helms of affairs of what a competent government. Thank you so much, Adeyemi. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, my beautiful sister.
Yes.
That's good news together. You see, Dangote is crying now. He has been having it good with various governments. Like MAESTRO has said. He has been having waivers on the position of equipment. You see, the local refineries, those who are given license, about 20 of them, they have not been able to start off just because they did not give them access to the possession of these machineries. Whereas Dangote had everything at his fingertips. Then even the foreign exchange, you recall that time he was given free will. Like that time it was 700 something, but he was given 400 something. Everything. They knew what they did, but now it's time. So we need to look at what is happening now. Because when you increase interest rate, you are affecting your economy. Investors do not want to come to an economy that is volatile, that they cannot produce and make profit. And your total production will be slow. And job market, you are increasing, people will be laid off. Government should just have a review. And the kind of the industries we are seeing now. You see,
thank you so much, sir, for your contribution. We sincerely appreciate that. Ajagbe Atobatele says, Nigeria is a clash of civilization. You cannot have different ethnic nationality with different civilization, worldview, and practice unitary structure of government. It will always be a recipe for failure. Lee Kuan Yew couldn't make Singapore a first world country when they are with Malaysia, but did after the right structure was in place. If Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India are still a country, India would not be on course for top 3 economy of the world by now. There is no country on planet Earth with no outright majority ethnic nationality that lord over the smaller ethnic nationalities that practice unitary structure except Nigeria. Solution is confederacy along ethnic civilization line or no development.
You know, that's the program is when you look at these African countries, what the colonialists did was to leave a lot of ethnic nationalities in bunches. So you have all these civil wars and so on. So today, when you say, rise up as one,
it's not possible.
The man in the East will say, no, I'm not rising with you. And then if he came to the North, the North will say, what are you rising? So that's the problem, and it's deliberate. It's part of the global program. And I don't know, this is something I've done before, and sometimes I assume that, I've also done it here, and I haven't done it here. So I don't know if we should open another class altogether on Igbesi all over again. Because you see, our people don't understand most of these things. They don't have time. And the education system, has also gone down. In those days, when you see Luther students talking, you're spellbound. You listen, impeccable spoken English and everything. Today, when they hold it's just the speed that you would be, and it's catalog of errors. So the education system too has not helped over the years. So I understand when people don't get it. And we have to substitute. We have to create alternatives.
All right, then. Rashida Nelka says, fake drugs is more scary. Imagine one got prescribed from medics and it happens that you bought fakes to heal yourself. How do one explain this? Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. Your name and where you're calling from?
Okay, my name is Olomututu and I'm calling from Apata.
All right, sir, your contribution.
All right. Okay, now when I totally agree with everything Mr. has been saying concerning restructuring, our problem is just that this country is too big. Because yesterday it was trending on Twitter, kill APC, kill this party, go and bring another party, still the same thing. It's not as if all these politicians, all these policies they are making, it's not as if it is wrong. It is not as if they want people to suffer. But the thing will not have far-reaching effect because the country is just too big to be administered through one round. I think the best thing is to restructure and go even to local government administration. That's the best. That's how they do in advanced country. That's my contribution. Thank you. Good morning.
All right. Thank you so much.
You know, yesterday I was listening to, I saw Dr. Ruben Abati, so eulogizing the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan, which he served in as one of the key spokespersons.
Exactly.
And when that administration was being criticized harshly, he said he wasn't going to talk because when you are eating, it's bad manners to talk. That's how reckless people could be in power. He made that kind of statement. But today he's one of our judges on national issues. And yesterday he was saying when Jonathan was in office, the dollar was exchanging for 150. It's a lie. Jonathan left it at about 190. But you see, like I told you, we're only clever by half when we want to deceive. Right through every administration, the bigger picture is the dollar had been kicking the naira silly. Every administration.
It's been like that.
Every administration, the pump price, has been going up. Right through all administrations. That should tell anybody something if you want to understand the problems of this country.
All right, then. We'll go on a break now, and when we come back, that will be our final lap for this morning. Let us go on this. But before then, let me quickly read this comment from Idris Adisa. First of all, happy birthday to you, Mr. Idris Adisa. He said, when all this are happening and we consume inferior product, have you forgotten? I've forgotten about made, but we have encouraged our local made. Anyway, we are still the problem because some of us allow inferior product to our country to amass more profit. God help us. All right, let's go on this break. When we're back, we'll continue the conversation in the studio.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
I am pregnant. It is important for me to take care of myself and stay healthy.
To be strong and have a healthy pregnancy, take iron and folic acid tablets every day when you're pregnant. This prevents anemia and helps maintain a healthy pregnancy. Visit your healthcare provider for regular antenatal care. This message is from the ANRIN Project or your State Ministry of Health.
Títí jòjòló òkú oríire. Má jáfara o, gbọ́dọ̀ sọmọ lẹ́nu láàrin wákàtí kan àkọ́kọ́ tọmọ délé ayé láti fún un ní àkọ́kọ́ sí omi ọyàn aláwọ̀ òféèfé yẹn tí wọ́n ń pè ní colostrum. Àkọ́kọ́ sí omi ọyàn colostrum yìí ní gbogbo èròjà pàtàkì tọmọ rẹ nílò láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìlera pípé. Ó sì ń ṣèrànlọ́wọ́ láti dènà àrùn fọ́mọ rẹ. Rántí o, fọ́mọ rẹ lọ́yàn láàrin wákàtí kan àkọ́kọ́ tó o bímọ. Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkọ́ṣeṣẹ́ ARIN, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
Akidibo 88.7 FM.
Okay, we're back. Maestro, this story is saying that the Wuraola report is about to take off. But now, we're talking about merging, relocation, and winding up some of the ministries, departments, and agencies. We now have some people lobbying because there is a committee that is about to take decision concerning some of the ministries or other places or agencies. They are going to be scrapped or maybe merged. Now we have people lobbying because they do not want their agencies or perhaps their department to be affected.
I don't know if I have something that I keep reflecting on when you look at this Wuraola report thing. First, I think it should have been updated because it happened a long time ago. And it was a different scenario that report came up in. But now, even now, taking it as it is, you see, you're saying, oh, we are not going to lay off workers. We are going to accommodate everybody.
Yes.
We are simply going to downsize, right size, merge,
yeah.
And so on and so forth. So, in my mind, if you had 3, say, MDAs, and you want to streamline for greater efficiency and so on, and you merge or you do whatever you want to do, if the 300 people still working there are still there, then how would you have severely, what difference would you have made at the end of the day? I'm looking at what difference if the cost of running is still the same. Because it's either you're lying and you're going to lay some people, off.
The people will still be affected.
Or you're telling the truth in confusion. Because if this guy was a director before and he's not going, then he's still going to be taking all that he's been taking. But okay, if you put these 2 ministries together, and I didn't see ministries. If you put 2 ministries together, you now have 1 minister. You have 1 budget.
What happens to the second one?
But then the bloated figure is still there.
The money they are collecting.
So while I'm not saying these things are, I think it will be tough. And it's also going to have political consequences. Would an administration like this in its first term, would it be willing to take spend its political credit on this kind of venture in its first term? I don't think so. So for people who are saying it's going to happen, some of these things that they are saying is going to, those things will not happen in the first term. Maybe we will see a couple of things if, the second term happens. If it happens, maybe some of these things will happen. But first term, and that's my fear also for otherwise laudable, steps like state police. We might not be seeing those things in the first term.
All right. Joseph Caleb says, let our youth devote their energy on restructuring. Let us promulgate it, and very soon we will get to our destination. It is a pity some have understood the system running in the country. We have Sholajo saying there is no sincerity. Is it the citizens that will restructure, or the leaders that have the instrument and the capability at their disposal, but deliberately running away from it? We should direct our cause to them, not here.
That's a mistake. It's a mistake because you cannot be lying down on your easy bed and be saying a leader that you did not even, you are not sure you voted him into office is going to do this and that. That leader, are you sure you put him in office? And he's representing you.
All right. Engineer Adenioye Wale says, top of the day to Wuraola Maestro in Nigeria. There is falsification of everything, falsification of drugs, certificates, goods, and services. There is no wisdom in spending your money on something and not getting value for it. May God heal our land. Olalere Bayole says, on the issue of fake product, it is very rampant and it is supported by the elite who have the influence to buy custom or any other law enforcement agency who also need money to survive. On restructuring, I believe it is not easy for any president to do, but we can mount pressures on our lawmakers to do the needful. And that will lead me to ask this question. But there is a question right here that I'll use that to take a Maestro's pattern shot. But let me take this comment first. Oladoye Olubenga says, can Maestro please tell us, do we still have ANALYST or have they gone with Awo himself? Because when Jesus left, people still felt his work. Through his disciples, he left behind. I am not sure if President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is ANALYST from the way and manner he is governing this nation. I'm sure if his Lagos template will work for Nigeria. This suffering is too much for us to bear. We pray Nigeria. We must pray for the return of Awo or another Messiah in Nigeria. All right. Do you want to answer that first in a few seconds?
Okay. The point is, and this is where we need to be studious. This president has never called himself an ANALYST, not once. He identified with certain ideals of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, but he's never called himself an ANALYST.
He's not. All right. Okay. We have the story saying from the former Director General of Progressive Governors Forum, Saliu Lukman, saying that the National Assembly is spineless and a rubber stamp. Maestro, your pattern shot on that. Is it true or not?
There is none of the assemblies that we've had. I think this is the 10th.
10th.
And they've always been described as rubber stamp. And I don't suppose anybody could come and controvert that. It's always been, because what they do is they move in cahoots with the president. And so they get whatever they want. The president gets whatever he wants from them. That's why they call them rubber stamp. And I think that is valid.
Then what is the hope of Nigerians then? And Adexi says, who put the leadership of the National Assembly there? Is it not the president? All right.
That's short-sighted because they are coming from their different constituencies.
Different, yes.
So that's the first place to call, not the president.
All right, then. This is where we get to throw the curtain this morning. Tomorrow we'll be back to discuss about our great nation, Nigeria. My name is Wuraola Yusuff, and I'll see you tomorrow. It's a wrap.